Welcome to the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top four and nothing more. Kirk, we're back at it again, episode 135. And we're going to be talking about, we're in sports, man. We're 2 weeks now into sports, and we're going to be chatting about some college football coaches. Some of us tonight are making it obvious where one of the picks at least will land, and we'll see how that goes from there. But Kirk, you excited for this one, man? It's football season's off. College football season's now, 2 weeks in. We've had some fun with it. How you feeling about this tonight?
So, yeah, man, let's get into this. So we're talking college football coaches. And, I mean, there's a given out there that obviously, but I'm anxious to see where the other, 7 or so go, because I've got a pretty big list. And I'm still trying to figure my criteria out. Why am I going to pick one coach over another? And here's the one thing that I've kind of gotten stuck on. It doesn't have to be a head coach.
Yeah, that's good.
So that was kind of the one thing. All the guys I was writing were head coaches, and there's some other guys out there that kind of like. So, anyways, I do want to go over something though.
Yeah.
Let's talk fantasy football, bro. Hey, you know what I'm saying? So, this week on the Rushmore Show, you guys got to watch last week us do the draft, and obviously this week we've had our first week. And Andy, how'd you do?
I beat the odds and actually beat the champion, last year's champion, to start off the season 1-0. Man,
I like that.
I love garbage time touchdowns. Jaden Daniels at quarterback didn't come back to bite me. 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 when the game didn't even matter. And so that's always the fun of.
So I'm looking here, Andy, and in the power ranking you drafted, it sets you in the 11 out of 12 spot.
Yeah.
Today it's saying you're finishing 5th.
5th, yeah, 5th.
And I was starting at the 4 spot. I was starting at the 3 spot, and it's telling me I'm finishing in the champ. So, I mean,
well, listen.
I finished 2nd.
If you don't become the champ, not the champ this year.
Here. Let's talk about what happened. So, real quick, and standings. So, right now in your division, you and Pastor Ben's been on the show before. Yep. You guys are both leading the charge 1-0 in the George division. And Paul in the 619, he caught the big L. Yeah, he got a big L right there. My division, I'm kind of running blind with it. I'm leaving Thomas and Steven Flipper Dude in the background. Dylan, who's on the show today, him and his division, they're 3-0. Him, Max, and Jeff won the whole thing. That's the TJ Jazzy Jeff division. And in the Rosie division, they're all 0-3. They're all 0-1, so they're 0-3 technically. So that's David, Paul, and Trevor. So it's got a little parity. We got a 3-0, an 0-2, a 1-1, and a 2-1. So we'll see. You got anybody going tonight?
No, I'm all Sunday. I don't even have to worry about any prime time like Monday.
I have no Bills or Miami on my team. I'm pretty sure Dylan has all of the Miami Dolphins on his team. And he'll talk a little bit about that when he comes on.
Yeah.
But man, we're ready, man. College football coaches. Now, I did think about this, throwing this out there to the 4 people that are out there. I love the topic of kind of coaches. I think, as I was going through this, college football is great, but I like just college coaches. College coaches, man, there are a lot of, I want to do that one. You're talking about men's, women's, basketball, baseball, football, soccer. There's a lot of really good coaches out there. We'll probably have to do that one down the road. And also, professional football coaches is also going to be fun. Hey, so we got Alan in the house, Patrick in the house. Welcome, guys, to the show. Hopefully you hang around with us. College football coaches, if you like football, like college, put those together. Put down in the comments as we travel this thing out. So, Andy, you ready to get started?
Let's get started. But, hey, real quick, before we get started, it's been put out on social media. I think we should just mention it. We've been talking about this thing forever. Kirk, you're wearing the shirt to represent. Unfortunately, due to Hurricane Francine that just came through, the Louisiana Retrocon has had to postpone. Morgan City is the one that took the brunt of the hit. I mean, they pretty much got landfall in Morgan City.
Yeah.
Because of that, because of everyone's safety, because of just all the stuff that's happened, they've made the decision to postpone. Not an easy decision to make, but I understand it. It's definitely.
I'm sure not financially. It was a tough thing for a lot of people, and as well as just like you've been preparing for this for 6 months, and Davey's our guy. He's been doing this since the last one, kind of putting it together, and I know he's bummed. So look, I'm rocking the shirt from last time. I was excited to get the shirt for this time. And, man, I'm going to continue to love that convention. I was ready to come on down this weekend, but I am here. I'm going to be here this weekend. So watching football. Yep. So there you go. All right, Andy. Well, hey, let's get started. So it's time for our Rushmore of college football coaches.
Let's get it.
Hello, college football coaches. So, man, Andy, we have a great guest today. He's been on several times. I don't know how many. He'll have to tell us how many he's been on when he jumps on. Probably 8-ish. I'm throwing that out there. But he is a huge college football fan for one reason and one reason only. So I'm anxious to see what he's bringing to the table. And let's welcome on. Hey. Also, let me just say this. I know we're going to maybe have low numbers today because we have a lot of guys in Louisiana. This guy is actually in Louisiana. Then the hurricane had just missed his space. But let's welcome to the show, Dylan Thibodaux.
Hey, what's up, Louisiana. What's going on? What's that shade of red you're rocking? Dare I say crimson?
It's to match my complexion. You mean this whole thing? You mean this whole thing?
Oh, yeah.
I mean red beans and rice. So.
I'm a little thirsty.
Oh, wow. There it is. There you go. There you go. Hey, so Dylan, Kirk mentioned it. Have you kept tabs? How many times is this now? Fantasy draft.
Yeah, 7, 8.
I think 8.
Probably 8. Yeah, somewhere around there. So you're up there, man. Up there in that. So I know he's going to be kind of monitoring probably the other screen too, because all of his Alabama Crimson Dolphins are on the
two guys playing in our league tonight. I got Tyreek and the Dolphins defense.
Dude, your receiver almost got arrested.
Well, I have Tyreek in my other league, so I'm excited for that. Excited for that.
All right, so college coaches, man. So obviously we're seeing the shirt here, but your college fandom. Where does that start from? Where does that? How did you start getting into college football and maybe even specifically coaches?
Well, I mean, to begin with, I kind of prefer college sports over professional. I just love the atmosphere. I love the regional thing where you can just, you can split a state up by different teams and all that stuff. So I love it. I've always liked college sports more. When it comes to me liking Alabama a little bit, when I kind of explained this, I think when we had PlayStation 2 games, how like my first favorite football player was Shaun Alexander. Yeah. So watching him in the Super Bowl they went to that year, that's when I started to understand football a little more. I've always been a baseball guy. So baseball's always been kind of my main sport, but so I liked Shaun Alexander, and then I found out he went to Alabama, and at that time they were awful. I believe at one point they didn't even win a game for one of those seasons, but I liked them just because of the history. Again, I'm a history person and I like coaches. So I learned about the coaching lineage of the team. And then whenever a certain someone came into town in 2007, that kind of changed and everyone called me a bandwagon. But I've always liked Alabama since I was a kid. Being in Louisiana, I wasn't that well liked for a long time. Still not liked by my peers, but I love it. I love to stir the pot. It's always fun this time of year, especially that weekend in November coming up. That's always one of my favorite weeks here. So I just love college coaches. I love college basketball. It's probably like one of my favorite things. College baseball, and when it comes to coaching, when I love to coach. I've coached sports before. Andy knows at summer camp, I love coaching stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. I tend to get a little too into it and a little too serious, but I think college coaches have such influence over those players. You're catching them at a fundamental time in those young guys' lives. And I think the impact that some of these guys have is just really cool. So yeah, that's why I like this one. This one's going to be a good one.
Yeah. So you mentioned something really interesting there, just the joy of coaching. Everybody on the panel tonight has been a coach or is a coach, or to some extent, whether it's youth camp, whether it's sports, at schools or rec or travel, or, in any kind of sense. Right. And even on top of that, you think about youth pastoring and like how that kind of coaching and life development really kind of is obviously just a huge part of that too. So this will be an interesting topic tonight for sure. I'm interested to understand what 3 of your other picks are, because one's a shoe in. But Kirk, yeah. He's going with Lane Kiffin, guys.
Lane Kiffin, Bear Bryant, Stallings, and Saban. Okay, here we go. Next.
All right, Kirk, you ready to get this thing kicked off, man?
Let's do this thing. Hey, hello, Genesis. Welcome. Good seeing you, as always. So, hey, look, I love college sports. Andy, you love college sports. We've got professional sports on right now. But there is not
right there on TV. Tua.
Yeah, there's not much better than college sports in the atmosphere. So let's get going. Let's chat about it.
Let's get it. All right. So let's get started. Dylan.
I'm sorry, Dylan. You're up, man. So criteria. Aside from your complete bias lean, what else is in this criteria for your 4 favorite college coaches?
So my criteria is a whole lot of research and a little bit of bias.
Yes.
So I did just head coaches. I know we kind of talked before about coordinators and stuff. I think that's a cool way to go. I didn't even think about that, honestly, because there's a few coordinators that I think would have been cool to put on here. But I have a couple that were to some of my coaches that were coordinators that found their way to be a head coach. So, my character is basically just, kind of the impact that they had, kind of what they did for the sport, not just for the sport, but for the universities that they were at, kind of stuff like that. That's kind of where I went with my criteria. So,
all right. So get us started off, man. Rosie, number 4 on the list. College coaches.
My Rosie is going to be Wallace Wade. Wallace Wade.
Right.
Here's my notes and research. Overall record as a head coach, 171-49. Pretty good. He coached at Alabama and Duke University, and he has a famous quote that I kind of like. It says, "The best you can do is not enough unless it gets the job done." I like that. So at Alabama from 1923 to 1930, he went 61-13 and won 3 national titles. And then he kind of shocked the sports world at the time, and went from Alabama, who was kind of already an established powerhouse, and went to Duke University, where the stadium is now named after him. And when he went there, his record was 110-36 at Duke. He brought Duke to 2 Rose Bowls. 3 national titles. In 1938, his Duke team, I thought this was a pretty cool stat. I know Andy loves stats. The Duke team in 1938 did not allow a single point until the final minute of the Rose Bowl, where USC upset them 7-3. So they held every team scoreless until the last 40 seconds of the national championship game that year. And another cool part I really like about Wallace Wade is he also coached basketball and baseball at Vanderbilt and Alabama when he was there. So, my Rosie's going to be Wallace Wade. I think having your name tattooed on the side of a stadium and leaving a school that was pretty much a shoe-in to win all the time, to go and test your coaching ability somewheres, and going, to Duke University, that was no sports. Sports wasn't the world there. It's a medical school, so people didn't look at them too much of a respect level. But he brought respect to that organization a little bit. And then coaching 3 college sports, I think, is crazy. So,
Kenneth Bird in the house. Welcome to the history lesson we just received. In 1892 was when this guy was born. Wallace Wade. Wowzers. This is, look, we have a guy coming on, and hopefully he's watching soon. Keith with Vintage Sport Flips. This is his type of pick here. He's going to go dig deep. I like this, but Wallace Wade, never heard of him. Looked him up. Yeah, never heard of her. But it sounds cool. It's a lot of cool stats. I'm a stat guy. Andy's not. But Andy, how you feel about an old?
I like this, and here's why I like it. Again, you're educating us all. But when I think of football, there is nothing cooler than, whether it's pro or college or whatever, just the vintage aspect of it. Like when you get back and you're watching those black and white reels of all of this stuff happening. I mean, this dude was coaching when the forward pass wasn't even legal, probably. Yeah. I think they were using human heads as
using coconut husk as
exactly. But no, it is definitely an interesting pick. I'm interested to see now, are you just going to pick everybody that's got an Alabama tie-in? So we'll see. We'll see if that thread. We know at least 50% of your roster at the very minimum has to have that. But no, man, this is a good one. I do think it's interesting, man, to you don't hear about that, the coaching multiple sports. And maybe it was an 1890s thing, or I guess it was like a 1920s thing. Like how many other big name coaches are you hearing? Like Saban's not going out there coaching girls volleyball. Like it's not, right. That's just not happening. Right. And, I know the game's different today, so you're probably not going to have that obviously happening, but man, great pick. Wallace Wade. Also a great name.
They say the Wallace Wade Stadium in Duke is the most beautiful stadium you've never heard of. Which I don't know if that's a cool thing or not so cool thing, but
yeah, no, great pick, man. Way to go. All right, so
Wade to go.
All
right, Andy. Well, you're up, and doink. That was a doinker.
Doink the clown.
Look at this Alabama quarterback throwing to an Alabama guy, right? Was that an Alabama guy? No, not that guy.
The quarterback, maybe.
INT. Was that an Alabama guy that caught the INT?
I don't know. I turned my head when I saw it.
So, Andy, you're up, bro. What's your criteria tonight?
Well, my criteria was this. It was my number one and then figure out everybody else. No, it was I had to have seen these guys on TV. These guys had to be coaching when TV was a thing, unlike Wallace Wade. So, I mean, again, no hate on that pick, but he would definitely be out of my criteria. He
was all over the telegraphs, Andy.
He died. I think Wallace Wade, it said, lived till 94. So he 1986, he passed away. A long life. But anyway, these are guys that I was watching. I thought about, like, if I could have a 4 now again, egos aside, they're all 4 head coaches, so we're gonna have to figure out who's coaching what's happening here. But if I can have these 4 guys on my coaching staff, I mean, just undefeated the whole time, right? So some of these guys are considered the GOATs. Some of these guys, maybe not as much, maybe more just love for that. But also on top of a 4 coaching staff, I might have the best post-game conferences that are happening, because the sound bites that are coming from my coaching staff alone, it's just going to be wild. But then when you think about, like, some of the players that these guys coach, these are going to be some of those 4 great guys here. And I'm going to start off with a school that I don't like. I don't like this school. My dad's a big fan of this college because of where he grew up. He grew up a fan of this team. I'm not a fan of this school, but here's the deal. You cannot deny this guy's prowess at the coaching level. Not only did he do it in college to an elite level, but he did it in the pros, and he's come back and forth. I'm going to go for my Rosie with probably one of the more player-friendly coaches that we've known in our generation, at least. I'm going to USC's Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll's going to make my Rosie, the Rose Bowl, the Rosie. Hey, why not? Let's do this. Pete Carroll, again, not a USC guy. I don't care for USC, but you can't deny the fact Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, 3 Heisman winners that this guy produced. There was a stretch of time from I had this stat pulled up here. Again, stats. There you go. Boom. But it's records, right? I guess it's kind of from 2002 to 2005. USC won 34 consecutive games, the longest winning streak in modern college football at that time. This guy knew nothing but winning. Obviously had the sanctions against him, which in today's game, he'd be applauded for what he was doing, right? So very good to see Reggie Bush get his Heisman back. I mean, he was the Heisman anyway, right? Like we all knew he was the Heisman guy. But yeah, the guy's a master recruiter, which again, in today's game, is recruiting as big of a deal? I mean, with the transfer portal and then all that kind of stuff that's happening, who knows? But at the time, this guy, you couldn't deny it. We're talking college football coaches tonight, but the fact that he's going over to the pros, he coached a little bit with the Jets, a little bit with the Patriots, and then obviously his big run was with the Seattle Seahawks for years there, winning a Super Bowl there as well. Won a Natty, won a Super Bowl. When it comes to hardware, there's not much more you can prove, but man, I've got to go Pete Carroll. He's also that guy that, man, one thing I love about seeing Pete Carroll on TV is you see this guy like warming up running routes with his receivers at this at like 80 or whatever he is now. Like this dude is like, you want to go to war for this guy. He is definitely a player first kind of coach. And also, he's had successful offenses, obviously, but we forget that he is a defensive minded coach. So he's helping out with my defensive side of my team here from the coaching staff perspective. But man, yeah. And people also don't remember too. Pete Carroll takes over USC like 2001. They were a struggling team. Like they were not where they were during, and then he brought them to relevance, right? And all that. So man, I'm going to go Pete Carroll to start off mine. And again, he's another guy too, when it comes to post-game press conferences. I love the guy's chewing gum all the time. He's chewing gum. Yeah. Uh-huh. And which I don't like Russell Wilson. Okay. I'll just say that. I think Russell Wilson, something happened to the real Russell Wilson. What we have right now is AI. That's not the same guy who's won a Super Bowl in Seattle. It can't be. But anyway, his impression of Pete Carroll, he did one year, and it is obviously he was playing for the guy, so he's around him enough to develop a good one. But man, it's hilarious. So there we go. Pete Carroll starting off my list. Kirk, I don't think you're a USC guy. You're
touchdown Bills. Touchdown Bills.
There you go.
Nice.
There you go.
Hey, there you go. Hey, so I'm gonna hate your list, dude. I'm just
gonna
hate.
I know you are. Absolutely gonna.
Not only are you gonna put that guy, but I hate.
You don't like Pete Carroll at all.
I hate Pete Carroll, both college and pros. Like, I want somebody to smack that gum out of his mouth, right? Really. He is on my list, but it's like way down here because I have to give him props for what he's done.
He's undeniable.
He's got 2 natties. I hated USC. I was pulling for Texas that year. I did like players that came out of there.
Troy Polamalu, Clay Matthews.
I love players that came out of there because let's be honest. I love players that have come out of Alabama. Like that's just.
If you like the NFL, you have to. I mean, you have no choice.
Well, no, not actually, because they weren't always. Right now it's a Georgia and LSU, but hey, okay, we'll keep talking. But here's the deal:
$1 billion.
You have to give him props. You have to give him props. And he has done what he. Yeah, but gosh, I hate your list already. I hate it.
It's not getting any better for you. I know.
I know it's not. I just know. I mean, I'm looking at my list, trying to figure out how I can make this a fun night.
All right. Okay.
Hey, do you like Pete Carroll? There.
So.
No. Good choice. No.
Kind of. He was on my Benji's for sure. He was kind of at the mid tier of the Benjamins.
Look at this guy, go Dogs, right?
But I will tell you, he is on the George for the most bonehead decision in a Super Bowl.
Zach, absolutely. Who even coached between those two guys? I mean, Mark Richt.
Run the ball.
Richt. That's who they had. Richt. Miami. Anyways.
Yeah, I will say this. Yes, that was the worst call. And if he just ran the ball, Tom Brady doesn't have at least one more championship. But
you're going down a pretty sleep.
There's a what ifs. There's a mini what ifs. Butterfly effect.
Yeah, butterfly.
But anyway, you had Marshawn Lynch, dude. Anyway.
All right, so man, I guess I'm up.
Yes, Kirk. I guess
so. Here's my thing. I want to pick. I'm going to come out here and I want to pick the 4 guys. I'm trying to think of a criteria. Here's the thing. I would want these guys to coach my kid. I'd want to hang out and have a cup of coffee with them. I'd want to talk more than just football with them. Like these guys that I'm pulling out 4 guys that. I mean, one of them's my absolute favorite, and I'm not even putting him at 1. So there you go. Yeah, I'm putting 1. I'm not putting him at 1 for other reasons because of my criteria. But I'm gonna start off my list right now. And here's the thing. I'm going. Gosh, why am I doing this? I am going with an Alabama guy. I'm not know why I'm doing this. But this guy didn't ever coached at Alabama, thank goodness. He only played there. He was the 1948 quarterback. I'm going with West Virginia's own and Florida State's own, Bobby Bowden. And devout Christian. He has 346 wins, 2 natties. Not a huge Florida State fan up until the last couple of years, to be honest. And I'm still not a fan of their football team, but Carson has she's had a couple ties to go into Florida State with the teams that she's played with. And she's gone to a couple camps and things of that nature down there. My other daughter is her boyfriend is from Tallahassee. And so there's some Florida State ties going down that way. But that's just recent. When you look back, he's got his sons that have coached there. You always talk about that tree, right? Like this is and we're going to talk about him, the Saban tree, right? You're going to talk about the Belichick tree. You're going to like these guys that have gone and learned under people and who were there, how they were there. And so here's the deal. Bowden's got a great long list of people that have come, and just including his 2 sons who have been around. Like I said, devout Christian. He's also what is it? Was it We Are Marshall? He was the coach that was playing them when the plane crashed, I believe.
Yep.
At West Virginia. Here's what he's got: 2 natties, 93 and 99. 14 consecutive top 5 finishes. That's 87 and 2000. And bowl game success, 21 consecutive bowl appearances between 82 and 2002. And he retired with 377 career wins. And at that time, he was only second to Joe Paterno. So, Bowden, I mean, he was an offensive mind. He led the offensive differently. Most college guys, most head coaches that you've seen have had a lot of success were usually defensive guys. He was an offensive-minded fella, and he surrounded himself with good defensive assistant coaches, and he had great defenses back in the day. A lot of great players that have come through there. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. Bobby Dodd Coach of the Year in 1980, the Walter Camp Coach of the Year in 91, numerous other awards. Bobby Bowden. I'm going to start my list off with Bobby Bowden.
All right, Bobby Boucher, you got it. All right, Dylan, what you think about Bowden, man?
Well, that was my number 1 Benjamin. Nice. He was the guy that was like, right on the edge of where I was going. Incredible, like you said, like when it comes to just being a good dude, like not alone just been a good coach, but like he was a good guy.
you bring that up, and I was kind of going that way. And, we're Christian. All three of us here are pastors. All three of us are leaders in our church and leaders in church. And every time I've ever seen him and his family or his mom, his wife, and like when he's around them, it looks like a youth group, right? It looks like he's got his, his arm up. He's an old guy. He's just like, man, that's just how he kind of ran business. And I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not a Florida State fan though. So
I'm not a Florida State fan either. But listen, I will say this. Somebody asked me 2-3 years ago, what happens if Carson goes to Alabama? Right. And I said, I will be at her signing day in a houndstooth suit. Listen, I mean, that changes everything, right? You know what I'm saying? When family and people kind of, and now here's the deal. You can have good rivalries, right? But if I'm going to be cheering for my kid, and I see that happen all the time, where people are like, "Oh, why are you doing whatever, man? If that's what you want to be a fan of, that's cool." Alex
Aaron Brown, Jurgen Klopp.
Look at this guy.
Oh, American football. I don't even know
soccer.
That's a very solid soccer, George. Right there. That's a good.
What's up, Mountain Men? Barry, man. I see you all over, Barry, bro. You're everywhere.
Barry, hey, I do want to say this. Hey, breaking news. I did not record this, and I did this out of just curiosity. I tried a double vanilla wafer, and I tried it with Duke's mayonnaise instead of just straight up mayonnaise, and I didn't put as much. It's not good. It's not bad.
Okay.
So very. It's not.
I thought
good.
you were like, it's not good.
It's not bad. It's not as bad as the last one was. I will give you the props on that. It's definitely not something that I'm like, you know what I could go for tonight? Some mayonnaise and vanilla wafers. No, it's not happening. But I can get your point. I guess I get your point there. So anyway, you got a tutty?
Oh, they're putting it on the 2-inch line.
Yes, Barry. It is average. Way to go, average. There we go. Nice. All right, cool. All right.
And I must be way behind on the 2-inch line. Like, what the heck's going on here? You're giving it away. Dylan. You're gonna have to go. You're gonna have to be the announcer today.
All right. Hey, we're done with Rosie's. Let's get to our TJ Jazzy Jeffs. Dylan,
hello, son. Hello, son.
Oh, hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom.
Hey.
There we go. Hello, Miss Carolyn.
And that's my Uncle Kippy in the picture from the Thanksgiving episode.
Oh, I see.
That's Uncle Kippy with the yams right there.
All right.
That looked like a tutty right there, dude. Yeah, well, welcome to the show, Miss Carolyn. How are you? And it's been a long time, I think, since the last time he was on the show. But thank you for joining in. Yeah. So, all right, bro. Now we don't need to do criteria. Who's the next Alabama coach you're bringing in?
Let's see.
Actually, I'm bringing in a Louisiana guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean he's not at Alabama.
Go ahead. No ties to Alabama at all.
Well, okay.
I'm not going LSU. I'm not going Tulane.
You're going UL?
I'm not going UL.
Oh.
I'm going up north.
Louisiana Tech.
I'm going to Grambling State University with Eddie Robinson.
Yeah.
Coach Eddie Robinson coached at Grambling, y'all, for 55 years as the head coach.
It's crazy.
From 1941 to 1997, this guy was the head coach of Grambling University. And overall record, 408 and 165. He set the record for the most wins up until Paterno beat him out. But he's the guy that broke Bear Bryant's record for wins. This is crazy. 17 conference titles, 9 HBCU national titles, 27 consecutive winning seasons. He's had more than 80 players go to the NFL, and if you count the American Football League and the CFL in Canada, over 200 players drafted. He coached 4 Hall of Famers, including Ernie Ladd, who is a wrestling Hall of Famer. And a cool thing I saw is that he got Grambling University, a really small HBCU, to play in the Superdome, Yankee Stadium, the LA Coliseum, the Astrodome and Soldier Field. And he also got to coach against Morgan State in Tokyo. It was the first U.S. college sports game ever played overseas. There's no college coach that has more awards than Eddie Robinson, and this is pretty tight in my opinion. He is in over a dozen different Hall of Fames.
Jeez,
which is like crazy to me. Eddie Robinson's going to be my TJ Jazzy Jeff. Small town, small school. It's just Grambling from the marching band, and the rivalry they have with Southern.
Battle of the Bands, baby. Battle of the Bands.
So yeah, man, Eddie Robinson. When you looked at the stats, when you look at the accolades he's had, 55 years as a head coach was crazy. To be consistent there, and again, 200 players to go to professional from a small school like that. That was just crazy to learn about. So.
Yeah. Dang it. I think I'm playing A-Chain tonight in one of these leagues.
You are.
Anyways, Tutty for A-Chain. Hey, look, I love this pick, man. This guy's a legend. Seen him. I've actually seen the Battle of the Bands once, and that's a funny story. Somebody invited me to go, and when I showed up, I was like, I am at the wrong party.
So I went to a pretty much all black high school here in Louisiana. So as a freshman, we went on a field trip there, and I was a 4'8", 65-pound white kid in the middle of the Battle of the Bands, Southern and Grambling playing. It was one of the funnest games I have ever been to in my entire life.
And it's usually like 57-50. And it's like, and that wasn't even the highlight. What up, Bryce J. Dub in the house? Nice. Oh, look at this. Pat Dye, Shug Jordan, John Heisman, and Mike Donahue. All right, Barry. All right, Barry. Yeah, I love this pick. Andy, you love this pick?
I think this is a great pick, dude. 408 wins is wild to think. To coach for 55 years is just insane.
He started coaching in World War II and finished when I was 4 years old.
That's wild. Yeah, that's the guy. Like, what do you even say at that point? Like,
but here's the craziest part of all of it, right? He coached only at Grambling.
Yeah. Never bounced around, never did nothing. He was just there, man.
His first head coaching job was in 1941 at Grambling. And he retired in 1997.
And the only reason he retired was because he started to get dementia. He started in Alzheimer's. So if he wouldn't have done that, he didn't pass away, I think, till like 2001 or something like that. Good Lord knows how long he would have stayed there had he not had some, his health decline.
That's crazy, man. That is a crazy career. But yeah, man. Hey, way to give Louisiana some love.
I had to just a little bit.
It's good that you didn't go. It's interesting. We didn't go LSU. We didn't go all those other schools that you had mentioned. But yeah, way to go, man. I like this.
Good pick. What up, Fat Boys? Hey, man, Fat Boys, I love having you here. We got video games coming up in January and February. Got a lot of cool guests. Bryce is going to be on. Hit me up if you want to be on the show. I think we're going to go multiple people, like 2-3 at a time, to try and fit everybody in. But, man, welcome to the show, man. I love having you here. All right, Andy, who you got next?
All right, so my next one, I don't think I'm continuing this trend of people that you're probably not going to like here, Kirk, and that's okay. This guy made his mark in the SEC as one of the greatest to do this. Now, he is one of only what I pulled up here, one of only 4 people to be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame as both a player and as a coach.
I can already tell you I don't like this pick.
Yeah, you don't like this pick.
I hate this pick.
He is very much opposed. There was a lot of heated rivalry between he and your previous pick, Kirk. This guy.
Yeah, I hate this pick.
I'm gonna bolster my offense with this pick. I've already got my Pete Carroll defense, my player relations guy and Pete Carroll. Let's throw in the fun and gun offense. Give me Steve Spurrier. Steve Spurrier makes my
USC guys. You went 2 USC guys.
Hey. Well, here's the deal. So Florida, Duke, South Carolina, the other
USC.
The other SC. But yeah, dude, this guy, innovator of offense. This guy, playing quarterback at Florida in when was this? 1963 to 66. Was a Heisman winner in 66. All-American, SEC Player of the Year that time. Went on to play in the NFL, mostly as a backup, not very, very successful NFL career, coaching or playing. He did coach the Redskins for a short little stint of time. But here's the deal. Head coaching record in college, 228, 89, and 2. That's impressive. That speaks for itself. 11 and 10 in bowls, right? He won a natty with Florida in 1996. 7 conference SEC championships with Florida. Coached Duke from 87 to 89. Kind of got his, came onto his coming out party with coaching Duke, and again the innovation of this offense and everything. Florida for about 10 years, 90 to 2001. South Carolina for another 10 years, 2005 to 2015. And then he did some USFL stuff too. But this guy was always offense. Just air this ball out. This guy was where it was at, right? Obviously, his offense didn't really pan out, didn't really transfer to the NFL as well, which is why his success that we hear of is primarily in the college. But again, because we're talking college football coaches, this is where we're going to go, right? He famously called Florida State Free Shoes University. He was against it. Listen, if I'm going with my criteria of post-game press conferences, it may not get much better than Steve Spurrier. This guy was the real deal. He said you can't spell citrus without UT, talking about Tennessee, because they always played in the Citrus Bowl, right? So he had the visor, he's throwing the visor when he's all that deal.
What's up, Bill? How you doing down there in Louisiana, bro? Did you make it out all right with the storm? Let us know, man. Bill.
Yeah. So he was the National Coach of the Year 96, SEC Coach of the Year 7 times, College Football Hall of Fame as a coach in 2017 and as a player in 1986. This guy he's the real deal, man. And again, I'm continuing my trend of people that Kirk does not like. So Steve Spurrier would be my pick. I'm rounding out a very good coaching staff on my team right now. I'm very proud of it so far.
Yeah.
Kirk, let's hear what you really think about Steve.
Listen, I don't hate Florida as much as I used to because they're pretty terrible.
Yeah, for sure.
But the 90s, 2000s, Spurrier, Urban Meyer, that kind of stretch. Honestly, before Satan went to the Alabama, this was the team I hated the most. Yeah, that's the team I hated the most. I mean, well, here's the thing. In the SEC, you have that one rival that you play within, right? And ours was always like Ole Miss and Tulane until Saban went over. And then you have the other one that you play from the other side, the East. So we're in the West. You play the East, and in the Eastern common opponent we play every year was Florida. And there was a game. This was Spurrier time, or was it? It might have been Thibodaux time. It might have been Thibodaux time. So I'm trying to remember what game it was
for other reasons. I'm not mentioning that coach for other reasons today.
Right. It might have been Thibodaux time for this one. But anyways, here's the deal. Gosh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I ended up getting LSU tickets, and for whatever reason, I didn't realize I bought them in Florida seats. And man, to have this all night long was about the worst thing ever until we came back and beat Thibodaux at night. and I was the most happiest person. I can't stand the Gators. Yeah, they're on a long list of most hated teams for me.
Hey,
Spurrier, old ball coach himself, he was just irritating. Gosh,
I want to
him a lot
mention
better when he went to USC. But yeah,
I want to mention this. Steve Spurrier quotes, man. This guy. So there was, and this is great because it's against Auburn. There was a fire at Auburn, and it said it destroyed 20 books. And his quote said, "But the real tragedy was that 15 hadn't been colored yet." Tell me that's not gold, dude. He even said, Dabo Sweeney said that he's from Pluto, I'm from Mars. And he said Dabo still thinks there's 9 planets out there. I don't know. It's just silly. Steve is so good, dude. He is so quick-witted, man. Anyway, yeah. Steve Spurrier, man.
Now I know I'm really going to hate your list because I have a feeling I know both of your other two. Which
you don't know my link, and I'm definitely going to throw you for a
He
loop.
always had that gremlin look too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hate. Oh, so what do you think about Spurrier?
I mean, he's a legend. I mean, he's one of those that you either love him or you hate him.
How many wins he got? He got 228. It looks like. Yeah.
And I mean, he's just one of those old kooky guys. You know, he even tried coaching like 2 or 3 years ago, I think, for the UFL or something like that, XFL or something. Like, was still trying to coach, and they finally had to tell him like, "Hey, pops, it's time to
let's get you to bed."
yeah, come on. So, I mean, just a legend. So, he didn't do much in South Carolina, but I know his Florida time was kind of up there. But
yeah. Well, I mean, it is what it is, bro. It is what it is. I can't stand that guy. All right, we're on. Hey, we're live through the 5 people. I'm sorry, Spurrier 3-1 against Saban. Hey, that's a good. Hey, I like him better now. Was that one time when Saban was at LSU? Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. So, all right, I'll go into my next one. I got another Alabama guy. It's freaking Alabama guys. I mean, there's Alabama college football all over the freaking place. I hate it. And you mentioned my guy just a few minutes ago, man. I'm going with none other than Dabo Sweeney. Listen, he played wide receiver, started his career over there in Bama. He's probably going to finish his career over there in Bama. He is a stand-up individual. He's kind of gotten a little bit of chalk talk recently. You know, he gets a little bit with his team was declining. He's got but another devout Christian, another devout guy that I would love to have on my side. He's growing over there at Clemson. He built a powerhouse that was pretty, 10 years or so. They were kind of like always in the top 4 or 5. Just recently they kind of fell off. And but Dabo is, gosh, he's already got 100 and what does this say? I just looked at it. I think 170 wins already. How many wins this dude's got? So, anyways, my bad. I'm looking at my next guy, and I got a little off. Oh, here we go. So he is. He was a 2011 Bobby Dodd coach. He's got 2 natties, Paul Bear Bryant Award in 15 and 16, ACC Coach of the Year 15-18. Home Depot Coach of the Year 15. He's coached guys DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams, T. Higgins, Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, and Deshaun Watson are some of the big ones. Deshaun looks terrible right now, don't he? Kind of reminds me of Tiger Woods when he got caught up in that thing. But hey, look, we'll just keep moving. But he beat programs like Alabama, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. I like that. And while he was chasing those. He's pretty much controlled the ACC up until the last year and a half, 2 years. I like the guy. I was really sad. Well, I'm actually excited because I thought for sure he was the predecessor, and it didn't happen. So maybe we hold that off for another 10 years because I don't want to not like the guy. But this is back-to-back guys born in Birmingham, by the way. So Bowden and Dabo both born in Birmingham.
Factor.
Back-to-back Birmingham. There you go, brother. So I'm going to go with Dabo. And I secretly kind of became a closet Clemson fan for a little bit there, just because I really just like Dabo. And I also like the fact that LSU beat them in the last natty that they got. So there you go. I'm going with Dabo.
Yep. This is a great pick. He's off my Benjamins. So good pick there.
Oh, 129 wins, 2 natties. That's what he's got. Yeah. He's probably got a little bit more since this because, well, they didn't win last week. So
they not only didn't win, they didn't look good.
They look pretty awful.
They look pretty bad. But yeah, man, this is a great pick. He's another Christian out there, just a great one of those guys kind of to your criteria, talking about like, would you want your kids to be
played under Gene Stallings?
There you go. Yeah.
Good time.
Good. It's a good pick, man. Dabo Swinney. For a while there, Clemson was looking like they were going to be like ACC was going to just run with this. They were built to beat Bama. Like that was the team. They were the SEC team of the ACC. I mean, who else did you have in the ACC that would ever mattered? I mean, Florida State, here and there. Miami's fun.
Miami was a powerhouse.
Yeah, but at the time of Dabo Swinney, though, I mean, you didn't have Miami.
Boston College.
Well, hey, look, Boston College beat Florida State. So, I mean, come on now.
So did Georgia Tech.
Matt Ryan, man. They produced Matt Ryan from Boston College. So there you go. Anyway. It's SEC and nobody else. Doesn't really matter who else plays. So
yeah,
it's just the reality of college ball, guys.
So that's gonna be my TJ Jazzy Jeff, and we're halfway through the mountain, man. Halfway through the mountain. It makes Bama look better than LSU. I'm game. All right. Yeah.
So just to follow up on that, Steve Spurrier beat Saban twice as an LSU coach. And they split 1-1 when he was with Bama. So, two of those. That was they spanked LSU. So, with Florida. Anyway, but not that it matters. Just wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, that stinks. But anyways, let's talk about Jesus a little bit for the.
Let's do that, please. Come on,
because we're going to be talking about the devil here shortly. It's time to chat. So up here is my friends at Culture Box. We got a couple things that we want to talk about. We're going to talk about Culture Box, which is this right here. We're going to talk about this down here, which is supposed to happen this weekend, but it's not. And obviously the shirt. Then we're going to talk about some coffee and a few other things. But this is our time halfway through the channel just to kind of shoot the breeze with you guys. One thing I wanted to let you guys know: if you're out there and you are from Louisiana, man, reach out to us if you need something, especially prayer. We can always do that. Just really. My family's back home and Andy lives back home and Dylan lives not far, but these storms come and go each and every year and it's devastating. So we'll definitely be praying for you guys. But if you have any other prayer requests, things that might be happening in your life, big things going, you can always message us at this is all of our stuff down here: Instagram, TikTok, Discord. We're not too great at Discord. We're probably Instagram's the best way to hit us right now. TikTok, we've all but abandoned it. Twitter, we've all, I guess I should say X now. But you can reach out in any of those if you have any prayer requests or anything like that. We've got lots of people coming up on the show. If you want to reach out to us, the best way to do that is on Instagram. But let us talk about the RetroCon. RetroCon was supposed to be this weekend, and it's going to be booked, if you will. It's going to be down the road. Don't know how far out. Davey, those guys had a rough night the other night. They're in the Morgan City area. That's where the direct hit was. And he kind of said, I'm going dark. And I can only imagine he's probably had so many questions, but he's also trying to deal with his family and things. And that show this weekend was going to be pretty epic. We were excited to be the MCs and kind of just going around and interviewing and talking with people. And we were going to have Reboot, which backwards, gosh, Reboot this way. And Reboot is just our way to kind of share the love of Christ in and within our friends at the convention, not outside with signs, not outside calling you guys names or whatever, but we're right there inside, hanging out with you guys, rubbing shoulders with you guys, purchasing the same things you guys are purchasing, really enjoying it, but also showing that we love you. And this is just a quick little commercial for that.
Prepare to make the jump to light speed.
But Seth! They're getting closer.
Oh, yeah? Watch this.
Yeah, so there's Reboot. There is all of the stuff that we got going on. Hey, we're excited again, like Kirk said, whenever it gets rescheduled to be out there again. I'll throw this out there too. I've got the new STCC.
There it is.
I've got a whole box of these Ben gave to me. So this is happening November 16th and 17th. We got a lot of cool stuff happening there. We will be there as well. That is in the Mandeville area. So it's the Pink Ranger is going to be there. We got a lot of cool stuff, man, happening with that one. Spud McDonald, WWL is going to be there. Yeah, man. So that's going to be a fun time. But hey, this is the point in the program where we plug one of our good friends over at as part of the Culture Box. And I think it's been a minute since we talked about our friends over at the Untold podcast. Let's check them out.
Let's check them out.
The Untold Podcast is a speculative fiction podcast utilizing the genres of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, among others, in order to engage the culture's imagination from a Christian worldview. Every month, Nathan James Norman produces and narrates a new story, presented in a unique and dynamic way. Check out the Untold Podcast at untoldpodcast.com to listen and leave them a review on Apple Podcasts.
Hey, go check out Untold Podcast. Let them know that the Rushmore Show sent you. All right. So, and hey, last thing I do want to plug here. Dang, I always have it right here. Where did it go?
Coffee. We need some coffee.
I've become a coffee guy. I've become that guy. Anyway, I had their sticker. I don't know what happened to it. What in the world? I'll just plug them anyway. Hey, if you're a coffee guy, a fan of coffee, I just want to plug our good friends over at Village Coffee. If you go to villagebeans.com, you can order. It's our good friend Cade over there. Max, saying you excited? Yeah. But anyway, go check out villagebeans.com. They're working out with a new Colombian roast too. But as of right now, you can order Mexico. You can order Ethiopia. They do K-Cups. You can buy the beans. You can buy the grounds. You can do all that you want. And he will ship to you if you're in the 48, right? So anyway, go check that out. Max, says it's a disgusting shirt. That's a disgusting attitude, Max, and not the kind that I appreciate around here. But I do love you anyway. So hey, let us continue. Anyway,
Max, you're absolutely welcome here. Don't let them say anything different. You're welcome here. And look, Barry, you're also welcome here because he's giving him the yeah.
Well,
anyways, hey, we're at a second half of our mountain. Let's see how many more times we can say Alabama. Let's go.
It's gonna happen quite a bit. All right, Dylan, you're up, man. What is your link? What's your number 2?
Well, it's about that time of the program where it starts to get a little bit predictable.
Yes.
My link is previously the greatest coach of all time.
Hey, here we go.
He was the greatest up until a few years ago. My number 2 is Paul William Bear Bryant.
Let's go.
Where he got his nickname because at the age of 13, he wrestled a bear at a carnival.
Come on.
Who else does that except people called by God?
Oh my God.
Am I wrong? He attended Alabama and was a defensive end where they won the national title in 34. He was drafted in the 4th round, but he skipped the NFL draft because he wanted to go into coaching. So during World War II, he joined the military. And while he was in the military, the Navy picked him up to kind of coach their guys who were deployed. That way they can go back and play football. had a pretty good career coaching other places, Vanderbilt, a couple different places, until in 1958 he landed in his alma mater of Alabama, where in his 38 seasons he won 37 winning seasons, 29 bowl games, 24 consecutive bowl games at Alabama. He won 15 bowl games and 8 Sugar Bowls, with our final record being 323-85. At Alabama, he won 6 titles in 61, 64, 65, 73, 78, and 79. 14 SEC titles, 12-time SEC Coach of the Year, 3-time National Coach of the Year, which the award is named after him. The stadium is named after him. He's depicted in 6 films. He received 1.5 votes in the 1968 presidential election. He was named the Sports Illustrated Coach of the Century, and he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom for President Reagan. 86 NFL players under Coach Bryant from Alabama alone. Dude is a GOAT. Houndstooth is the ugliest pattern in the world until it's on. Someone FaceTiming me. Get out of here. Yeah, I mean, Bear Bryant is a hard-nosed coach. He's that old school guy who is just beat you up however he could. He changed his offense up multiple times because the game started to change as he was coaching. He changed that way and dominated that way still. Just incredible. He died kind of brief, like pretty sudden because of his alcoholism. Not too great. I remember my grandpa, when I started liking Alabama, my grandpa would give me stories of him watching Alabama when he was growing up. And just, everybody kind of revered him around the SEC. They were scared when that man walked in the stadium. So that's my number 2. There really is no other number 2. Unless he's your number 1, then that makes sense too. So,
yeah. So here's shocker. I'm not going to pick him today only because criteria was I was watching these guys coach, right? So like, this is what eliminated Bear Bryant, but I am absolutely on board with your pick. Obviously, the reason. Hey, yesterday he would have been 111.
Yeah,
yesterday was his birthday too, by the way. So 111, wild, huh? Yeah. So this guy, there's a reason you don't just get a stadium named after you because you were a good coach. There's plenty of good coaches that have been out there, and when it comes to people getting fields and stuff named after them, we've only mentioned a couple. So, and this is that guy. So, man, hats off. That he's arguably the GOAT of coaches, right? When it comes to all time, right? Which we'll talk about the real one when we get to number 1, I'm sure. So, yeah, Kirk, Bear Bryant. What are your thoughts? Can you bear it?
Who's that? Who's that guy? Yeah. Yeah, I probably wouldn't even care about him if it wasn't for Saban. Honestly,
yeah.
I listen. There was a time I remember. I think it was Miami against Alabama, 1993-ish, maybe 4-ish, 5-ish. Jay Barker was the quarterback when they won over Miami, or Florida, or whoever, and I cheered for him then. Because I didn't know any better. I was like, oh, these guys aren't very good. They'll get a chance to win. And they had no idea about their history. I had no idea about Bear Bryant. Didn't really care. And then this latest run, it was the talk. It's the rage. So he was the GOAT. Not no more. But that's why this is the Rushmore Show, and it's not about the GOATs. So, yeah, I don't like him. So whatever, and I don't like his outfit. He's got terrible taste of style.
You need to go watch the biopic where Gary Busey portrays him. It's
that's amazing.
It's not.
That's just an amazing.
Hey, he gave Forrest Gump a full ride. Come on.
I don't need to watch any of that. That sounds like was an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of hell. Yeah, I don't want to watch that. So, as a Georgia fan, Bear Bryant is a GOAT. Yeah, he is absolutely a GOAT. He's just not my GOAT. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, there's lots of a GOATs that I don't like. So,
yeah.
Coach Broadway Joe.
And look, I thought both of y'all were picking him, and Andy's obviously not picking him. So
he's also one of the only coaches to coach in the stadium that was named after him. He was still coaching there when they changed the stadium to him. Thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. How's this Bills game going?
Not too great.
Yeah, here we go. Man, Bear Bryant, it goes without saying. Dude, I mean, he is a goat. Yeah,
and I'm like, Bear was always a cool nickname, but when I found out he was nicknamed that because he wrestled a bear at a circus at 13, that is just crazy.
That's what people back in like the 30s did. Like, you know what I mean? And maybe not every one of them did.
It was a contest. It was like you won $50 if you wrestled the bear. And
right, exactly. Nowadays, like with PETA and with social media, like that's not this guy.
Oh my goodness.
He's stupid. All right. Well, Andy, shock the world.
All right, man. So here's
who else does Kirk not like?
I think you might like this guy. Kirk, I think I may just soften the blow of my George here in just a minute. I may be wrong. Okay.
You might crush.
No, I don't think we will. I'm gonna go with this guy. He's look, when I think of college coaches, for whatever reason, my mind goes to this guy. Outside of obviously the number one, but like this is the next guy in line that I think of. When it comes to all four that I've mentioned today, he's probably the least successful in the sense of like overall record and things like that.
I think we're gonna crush.
It's still a winning record. He's one of the most, again, he's another offensive, innovative guy. He coached for multiple teams, but best known for Texas Tech, Washington State, and right there at the end of his life, Mississippi State recently. I'm going with Mike Leach. Mike Leach is my guy, and here's the reason, man. When you listen, post-game press conferences again, he's a big shoe-in for that. Man, listen to his rant about candy corn. It's
so funny.
Just gold.
Dude,
just
Mike Leach. Gosh. I hate myself for not having him on my list.
Yeah.
This guy is amazing.
He's amazing, right? So overall coaching record, he's 158, 107, still winning record. Again, but not anything that's like, oh my gosh, look at this guy, right? Bowl record, he was 8-9. He won one conference championship for the Big 12 in 2008 when he was coaching Texas Tech. So again, but here's the deal: the air raid offense. This guy is what every guy on Madden back in the day was doing. Give me 9 routes, bro. Just run. What's the Derek Carr to Shaheed quote last year? Freaking run. Like that's just like what I think of with this guy. He was just again, offensive guy for my coaching staff. He's the guy who is just innovative in that sense. But again, he's another player relations coach guy, right? Players loved him. I mean, the dude coached at Mississippi State for like 2 seasons, and he passed away like 2022, I think it was, or something like that. And relatively young, not like not super young, but earlier than what we would think. And they just like you heard nonstop from just the Mississippi State side, and he wasn't even there that long. People loved him. You talk about some people that came underneath him. Cliff Kingsbury was there. Gardner Minshew was his quarterback at Washington State. B.J. Simmons, who set the NCAA single-season passing yards record with 5,800 yards in 2003. So this was an offensive juggernaut in Mike Leach, and it went from school to school that he coached. But man, I'm just swing your sword was his quote. He loved pirates. I mean, like this is just the guy. Like
he was a guy.
Like if out of all of the guys that are on mine, I want to hang out with Mike Leach more than any of them. I mean, imagine just going to get a cup of coffee with Mike Leach, and the conversations that you're going to have there. But yeah. So the only thing I disagree is he doesn't like candy corn. But and I can give him that. That's okay. But yeah, man, Mike Leach is going to be my guy, man. He's going to be my guy. Again, maybe comes as a surprise, and maybe he's a little higher than maybe he should be, but he's the guy that I think of when I think of college football. He's just makes it fun, man. So there we go. Mike Leach.
Yeah, well, I'm going to change my list, but because I was worried that you were going to take not worried that you were going to take this guy. I mean, you might not even like the guy that I was thinking of.
Wait. Oh, I got to say this. His other rant that is the best rant ever, next to the candy corn, is when he talks about all of the teams in Pac-12 and which mascot would win in a fight.
Oh, that's great.
He goes on for like 15 minutes. Like legit, like he's thought about it. Like, so I have it pulled up here. He says, Arizona, I'm going to say the Wildcat is out. USC, the Trojan, does he have a horse or is he on foot? Does he have a bow and arrow or just his sword, right? Makes a big difference. UCLA, the Bruin, definitely formidable. Well, I mean, just go watch his delivery with it. The fact that it's coming off the cuff, but it's so well, like.
Fish aren't smart. Like that was one of my favorite.
The Ute, right? Is he on horseback? We're going to come back to that, right? Like, did he trade for a rifle? What are we talking here? Yeah, this guy. What's he say? Stanford, the tree? The tree's going to get chopped down. Anyway, I love Mike Leach, man. He is the guy. So I know you're changing your list. You like it, Dylan? You like Mike Leach?
No, I'm changing. I love my list, but I'm not taking that guy. I'm not taking him.
I know.
Mike Leach again with the sound bites. You can't go wrong. And like I said, anytime, like being SEC fans, you're kind of used to just either ground and pound and all that stuff. But the teams that you were kind of scared to play were those air raid guys. So even though the team might have been that great, you throw that air raid into a defense that's used to stopping the run. Those guys were the sneaky ones, man. They were the sneaky guys who, could throw a wrench in your plan. So I like Mike Leach. I think he died while he was still coaching.
Yeah, during the season.
During the season, yeah, it was towards the end of the season. I think they had a couple games left or something. Yeah, man, that sucks, but yeah, I liked him.
Lincoln Riley is another guy who played underneath him. Yeah, man, just a good guy, man. All right, Kirk, I guess we'll move to you, man. What is your
I just want to speak on Mike Leach real quick.
Yeah.
This guy, he reminds me of like your uncle or something, right? Like the guy, like he just always has a crack, a funny joke, some kind of silliness. Just, man, I really enjoyed him. And that's a great pick. And I'm kind of sad he's not anywhere on my list. I did not think of him. Because he didn't have as much success. Because I was pulling up the list of most successful people and just kind of scrolling to try to find. And I mean, he had success, but
here's the thing for your guy too, just to say this, it's not even just Mike Leach's immediate on-field difference that he made and all the things that we've talked about, the influence that his air raid offense has caused. While he didn't directly coach Pat Mahomes, Cliff did, and he got his offense from it. I mean, so you think about just the trickle down of like what we've seen happen.
Thanks, Mike Leach.
Yeah, so there you go. Who knows, man? If Cliff doesn't coach under him, what happened? It's all those butterflies, it's all those what ifs, right? But you think about all of this stuff that has happened just from this guy who doesn't really, honestly, in the limelight of college, get as much love as maybe he should. I mean, I think he got love, right? But some of these other guys. So yeah.
All right. Well, I guess it's my turn. This is and man, I've got so many good guys here, and I'm switching my list, so I'm moving him back up. I had him going to go in the Benjamins, knowing you guys weren't taking him, but I mean, he really is my favorite coach of all time. But people like Max are probably going to hate me here, and most anybody else. So I'm glad there's only 5 people watching. There might not be too many after this because they might actually unsub after this comment. But
we're so close to 1,000. So close now.
No. Well, I mean, we'll have to bring them down a little bit, but this is where the laughs come in, and you guys are going to joke. But my favorite coach of all time is definitely Les Miles, and it's the Mad Hatter. And you guys can joke.
This is your number 2, right?
Right. He's number 2. I was going to put him down at number 5 just because of you guys, and I don't want to hear the Alabama Bowl. But here's the deal. 114-34 at LSU. He was a 10-win coach every single year till they forced him out, and he was a 9-win coach that year. 10-win coaches don't come very easily. He always had the problem that everybody wanted him to be Saban. Saban left. He took over. Saban went to the cross conference and started winning, which really gave him a bad rap. But I just looked it up. He had produced 132 professional LSU players. He developed talent. He brought them in and out. 62 and 28. He eats grass, and I love that. I love that he eats grass. 2007 national championship. The big blunder for him was he was terrible at clock management, which really, really hurt him in a lot of his games. And the big one is when we beat you guys in the regular season, you come back and we don't even get past the 50-yard line. I know that's there, but that's one of his big blemishes. And from that point on, he never could get out of his own way with the fans, and the fans really just ran him out. It's crazy to think you ran out a 10-win coach, but it was because of he wanted to run, he wanted to run the ball. He's a Michigan guy. He was an offensive line coach. He wanted to run the ball all the time, and everybody wanted that air raid offense. Everybody wanted to throw the ball, and we would win 10 wins, but 8 of them would be by a tutty, and then the other 2 would be by 50, and then we'd win our bowl game, and nobody would ever be happy. So he had 11 bowl games. He won 7 of them, and then what was the last thing I was going to say? So he had where's it at? Yeah. So, oh man. Well, I had gone to my next guy who was going to be on my 5th, but so he was at Oklahoma State, where he embarrassed and he beat Oklahoma twice. That's what got him the job. Right? He beat Oklahoma twice, and then Oklahoma was the one championship that Saban won at LSU. So keeping that edge over Oklahoma. But I mean, he coached Odell, he coached Fournette Heisman run that didn't have he was a great guy. My favorite thing though, when I go back to my criteria, these are guys I want to hang out with. This is one of the reasons I almost put him at 5, because he had a little bit of controversy after he went to Kansas, talking about some inappropriate relationships when he was at LSU. And that out of everything, not his record, not the fans running him out, that kind of gave me a little tarnished. I don't like seeing that kind of stuff, because for me, Saban was the guy that I felt was the better coach, and like hard-nosed, and the guy that just was going to whip you to win, right? And this guy was going to like he had the locker room at all times, which is funny because when they ran him off and they fired him the year before, he got carried off by his guys, knowing that was going to happen in that win. And that was like a great moment. And then he came back, and then they fired him halfway through, and they did it again. He just was a coach. He was a kid, a player's coach. And I love him, man. Les Miles, man. And you can go back and look through my social media. I defended him every single year, every year. When LSU fans are just kind of stupid. So,
hey,
I mean, it just is. It is. Look, we've talked about this, Andy. Fandoms make people dumb, and fandoms, yes, you're right. And Saints fans, LSU fans, but like they got a little bit of taste, and all of a sudden we're supposed to win all the time. And LSU was never the Alabama, but now it's fun. That November game is always fun now, and it never was. Nobody really cared. We knew we were going to win 6 or 7 games, do okay, and then Saban won that natty, handed it off. We win another one. We hand it off. We win another one. with 3 different coaches, and I wouldn't put the other 2 guys on there. So that's just how it goes.
I'll say this though, LSU fans nowadays might be craving for a guy like Les Miles again.
Thank you. I would take Les Miles in a heartbeat now
over this over your boy now, Notre Dame there. So hey man, look, I figured he was going to be mentioned today. I wasn't sure he's going to make the 4. I figured he'd at least be a Benjamin today, which he was going to be.
I was going to put him in Benjamin, and I just I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
but the guy I was going to put in place is definitely viable to be in the top 5 for me. So
I just remember so many times, and just dumb, like again, small things like dumb clock management, horrible.
Clock management was the big
one of his big drawbacks. It's like, dude,
I remember I was at the game. I was at 2 really prominent games, and both of them were clock management. One, we lost the game to Tennessee, and we got an extra play and ended up beating them. I was at that game, and matter of fact, that's the game that I got my DWI, which changed my life completely, both good and bad. And then I was also at the game where we blew it against Ole Miss like 2 weeks later or whatever, and the same kind of foolishness. Clock management always got him big time.
Yeah. Dylan, any comments to add about old Les Miles?
I don't know.
Dylan's just upset about the game.
Yeah, James Cook just scored again, and that I'm playing old boy that has him. So,
let him cook. You know, he posted in our thing. Just let him cook.
You playing Trevor? Yeah,
whatever, Trevor. Forget you, Trevor.
Well, let's not get your comments about Miles.
No, Les Miles, crackhead. That's the only way I can. He was his play calling always made me nervous. Like no matter how good LSU might have, how good Alabama was, and if LSU had a subpar team, Les Miles' play calling always freaked me out. It just he'd pull a fake punt out of nowhere. He'd do weird plays.
Go forward on 4th down 17 times in a row.
Yeah, it was just things like that. But again, just being around, especially in my my prime of being an evil person who loved Alabama, it was so fun to mess with people who loved Les Miles so much, because at the beginning of the season they loved him, and by the end they had pitchforks. And
it was every year.
I have never been that guy, and that's what makes me upset. Like, dude, I mean, so can I just say this? So I know, and we'll move on because I don't want. This isn't about Les Miles, but it is about something else, and it's kind of a tangent, but it goes along with this. There are fans that it's win or die, it's championship or bust, it's get the trophy or it's over, and then there's other fans, very much like myself, which I don't care what's happening. I'm supporting the people there and pulling for them. I might not like a player, but I still want him to do well. And I do. And a lot of times I'm around some guys that were like it to watch sports with them. It's like going through surgery. Like they're like you know what I mean? Like you put so much into it, and it's like, okay, we made a mistake. So I was just going back. This is where I was going. My daughter, she, you know, in their age group, they get ranked, and there's this big thing going online right now about the ranking system, and everybody is kind of just bashing it about like the ranking's not right and whatever. Why would you want to rank? Because college coaches, now look, my air quotes here, college coaches don't really look at those ranks because they're not real. And then a few posts later, I saw why would you play for your high school when the high school talent is much lower and when you can get better? Here's the thing. These are people, to me, that are like D1 or bust. It's like you got to play at the top level or bust. Some people just want to play for the name, right? And some people want to play for the pride. And I think that's one of the things what I loved about Les Miles is when you put on the purple and gold, no matter how many wins you had, they were playing for that dude, and they were playing for that school. And then we had fans that were just they couldn't wrap their head around the fact that we would lose to Alabama, right? 3 out of 4 times, 4 out of 5 times, and then we'd watch him go on to win a championship. They're like, we should be doing that. That should be our guy. And we never let that go. And I personally, I let it go as soon as he left. I have a bumper sticker somewhere that says Nick Saban is a blank, blank, blank. And I can't put that on my car because that's just not where it would be. But I was like, bye, whatever. You don't want to be a part, go. And it is what it is. So that's my rant for the day. I think he got unfair anywhere else. If he would have been in any other SEC team than the team that has the GOAT leave and go and become the GOAT, he would have been fine. Everybody would have been like, yeah, he's fantastic. Yeah. But no. Yeah. And that losing to 13-0, not getting past 50-yard line was the big deal. That was the big one.
21-0.
There you go. All right. All right.
No,
so let's see.
No. They were 13-0 when that happened.
Oh yeah. Okay. As you were saying.
Yeah.
I remember that game.
I
remember that game fondly.
What a great segue into our George. Dylan, let everyone know the worst kept secret of the Rushmore Show tonight.
Nicholas Lou Saban Jr.
There he is. Talk about it.
Overall record as a coach, 292-71. That's an 89% victory percentage. It's unheard of. 7 national titles, 1 at LSU, 6 at Alabama. Coached 4 Heisman winners. Coached at Toledo, did okay. Went to the Browns and coached with Bill Belichick, did okay. Went to Michigan State, did okay. Went to LSU. That's where he tasted success. That's where he got a little bit. He went to 2003, won the title. Then he went to the unforbidden Miami. We're not going to talk about that because in 2007, Saban began the part of his coaching career that would change college football forever. First year, he went 7-6. They lost to ULM. At home, ULM. They're the worst ranked team in NCAA football 25. But that's where the tide changed. You like that one?
Right.
2009, beat Texas for the title. They pounded Colt McCoy to the dirt, and everybody cried about it. 2011, lost to LSU, came back and beat him 21-0 for the title. 2012, annihilated Notre Dame, made Manti Te'o's girlfriend disappear from the face of the planet.
Hey.
2015, they took out Clemson for the 4th title. 2017, we saw the greatest ending of a college final where coach used the wisdom to take Jalen Hurts out and put Tua in to throw the game-winning touchdown in overtime. 2020, I got to watch the national title game where they just beat the brakes off Ohio State. Then there's the coaching tree. People who coached under Saban. Kirby Smart, Lane Kiffin, Brian Daboll, Steve Sarkisian, Jeremy Pruitt, Dan Quinn, Will Muschamp, Jason Garrett, Jimbo Fisher. His coaching tree alone is an entire wing in the Hall of Fame. And just at Alabama in his 17 years, 123 players drafted. In 2007, when Coach took the job, there were 23 players from Alabama NFL. Right now, there are 78 on active rosters. Alabama had the first-round pick every year. They had an Alabama player in the first-round pick every year since 2009. 48 total first-round picks. Now he's enjoying his retirement with Miss Terry, his lovely wife of 45 years. He's a part of College Game Day. You either love him or you respect him, and that's where it is.
This is a fantastic pick, and we're just.
Where'd you go?
Kirk left. Here's the deal. I mean, there was no doubt. Let's just keep talking about Saban here. And we're just going to throw these out while Kirk's not here. You know that they came into this season ranked number 5. It was the lowest ranking they've had since Saban has been there. I mean, they've never been ranked 5 or lower coming into the season. I think
they've always been preseason 1 or 2. Yeah,
what in the world? I mean, in the 5. A 5 is a great ranking. I mean, to start the season for any other team, that's a down year for Alabama. Yeah, man, this team is Saban is the GOAT of coaches. We can talk about it. I know that it's annoying. I understand. I get it, and I'm cool with it. I get it. some people can be Yankees fans. Some people can now be Chiefs fans. We get to be Bama fans. And it just, we get to be a part of that. Here's my, you talked about Sean Alexander being your big thing of getting into Alabama. For me, I started dating my now wife. We were seniors in high school, and my family did not grow up as a college football family. We were watching Saints all the time. And they watch LSU, right? In fact, they actually watch Mississippi State quite a bit because my grandfather graduated from there. So we pulled for them, but I mean, nothing really over the top. I found out my wife's, my now father-in-law's side of the family is all Alabama. They're all from Alabama, big Alabama fans. And I said, hey, I'm going to be a smart guy. I think I want to marry this lady in the future. So why don't I start pulling for Alabama? Hey, we're going to be over at their house. Let's watch Alabama. Let's root them on, right? Let's roll Tide all day, right? That was in the year 2006. And we know what happened in 2007, right? So here's the deal. This is what brought me into this. But, man, you talk about Saban, everything that you just said. I mean, the coaching tree, their players in the NFL this season just signed for $1 billion worth of contracts. Alabama players have $1 billion worth of contract. You want to tell me
right now? That's
just now. I mean, think about it. I don't even know if all
time it's 2.8 billion.
It's wild, man. Yeah. So this is the thing, man. He is the greatest of all time. It doesn't matter what you think. Yes, towards the end of his career, were there some teams getting the best of him? Yeah, I mean, for sure. But they were coaches that coached under him. You know what I mean? They were these guys that wouldn't even had a chance.
And for so long, how many coaches couldn't beat him?
Yeah, no, I mean, what was his record against his former coaches? He had
it got up to 26-0 until
I think maybe 1 or 2 there at the end.
Jimbo was the first guy.
Jimbo and then
Kirby.
Yeah, you got Kirby Smart. But again, 20.
Hey, Kirk.
Kirk's. Oh, there he is. Kirk, we're not done yet. This is a safe space, though. You can stay here if you would like to. This is the GOAT of coaches, man. I'm going to keep talking about hey, Trevor, the guy who's playing Cook, is here saying hi. Sorry, you're starting to cook against.
Let him cook.
Also, Dylan, let James cook, he says. So I am obviously a huge Alabama fan. And it just comes down to, Saban. Listen, people hate it all the time. He's up by 75 and he's still yelling at his guys. That dude is a coach through and through. But I will tell you this, man, and the winning helps it, obviously. But you talk to players that played for Saban, and we want to say maybe he's not a player coach visibly on there, but those players would die for him. I mean, they love that guy.
Look at Jalen Milroe today. You see the clips of him running into him at a press conference or thing. And it's there's no other thing except go tell Coach Hi. And, I've seen him. I've seen him coach 5 times. So I've gone to Tuscaloosa a few times. I've gone to 2 Sugar Bowls and watched him. My friend Anthony Berry from small town Jeanerette, Louisiana, went to Alabama. And one year in 2012, when they went to the Sugar Bowl, he invited me out to Tuscaloosa. I got to spend the whole week on campus. I even snuck into a couple classes with him. I got to live like an Alabama student for a week. It was awesome. I got to meet players like Amari Cooper and Eddie Lacy. I got to, because my friend was in the athletic dorms, got to go that. And then I got to repay him. Funny thing, though, is I actually got to touch Nick Saban because he's a devout Catholic. He is a devout Catholic, and my friend Anthony was a devout Catholic. So the Sunday morning, right after they beat Arkansas 55-0, we went to Mass that morning, and Saban was a Eucharistic minister. And I got in line, and I got the Holy Communion from Nick Saban, and I put it in my pocket as a souvenir.
Wait a second. You didn't eat the communion? You kept it?
Well, here's the thing. We can talk about
it by the time I got home, but I got to repay my buddy because I got free tickets to the Sugar Bowl. They lost to Oklahoma that year in the Sugar Bowl. But it was just, I mean, I've seen the guy as many times as I can go watch him play. That 2020 national championship game in Miami was one of those things that I'll remember that forever. It was my bachelor trip. Brennan took me out to Miami for my bachelor trip, and we got to watch his last title game that he won, which was super cool. But there'll be no other like him. I think NIL kind of killed him.
Yeah, it's a different game today, man.
Yeah, it is what it is. I think
Thank goodness for paying players.
If he was a little younger, I think he could have hung in there. But I mean, he paid his dues.
He paid his players too.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Everyone did. Everyone did. You weren't winning if you didn't.
Yeah. See, there you go.
That's what it is.
So, now that it's legal for everybody, he retired. So there you go. So here's the deal. I'm gonna just take you back. So I was listening. I had some better things to do in the restroom, but listen. My favorite game of all time with Nick Saban. While he's at Alabama, was in his second year actually, and it was a game that I was in Bryant-Denny Stadium, watching LSU and Rohan Davey put up 600 and Josh Reed going 19 for 293. That was probably the best and most fun game I've ever been to in my whole entire life in sports history. Went down there with Paul. Paul's been on the show. Went down there with Paul, another guy, Mark Enright, and we went down. And then on the way back, that same day, on the way back was like the 8-time overtime Ole Miss versus Arkansas game with Eli Manning going back and forth. And we were listening to that on the radio. Reason I brought that up was not to kind of rub that in the face, because it was his second year and he was only like 12-7 at the time. I looked it up so I can have some stats. But college football, you mentioned you had seen him 5 times. You've been there. Being at a college football stadium, cheering for the team you love, especially when they're good, and you were just in that student, hearing the band, there's nothing like it. There is nothing like it. And you guys over at Alabama have lived a century of good stuff. But like over the last, 25 years or whatever it's been, he went there in like 2000, 2001, something like that. I don't know. 2007.
07.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Like, it's just whatever. Yeah. Good job. Good job. We all knew that this is the pick. The most. Yeah. And I was very appreciative when he won that year. And then when he kind of said, I'm out for the Dolphins,
let's say that too, though. He is instrumental in the Saints getting Drew Brees.
That too. Yeah, we've talked about that.
That's probably his worst coaching
I
decision
wasn't
ever.
upset that he went to the Dolphins. That was not my issue. I mean, everybody gets to try their hand and see if they can do it. My biggest upset was that he came back and just kind of like acted like it wasn't no big deal and went to the crosstown rivals. Now, we didn't have an opportunity to resign him.
We had a vacancy.
Exactly. We didn't have a vacancy. We didn't have a vacancy, but that didn't mean he had to go there. That's what made everybody start
Would
to
you
hate
have
him.
been mad if he went to Vanderbilt?
Would I have been mad?
I don't know if Vanderbilt had an opening at that time, but just hypothetically, would you have been mad if he was a Vanderbilt?
He could have probably went to any other SEC team.
So it doesn't matter.
Other than Florida, Alabama, Auburn. Like those. Like, he could have probably went almost anywhere else. Because they weren't going to win as much, one. And two, there wasn't that big of a, like, it's almost like, really we gotta do this with you, and that's kind of where it all went down. But yeah, he's the GOAT. And you can soundbite that. I've always thought that he was the GOAT, but it doesn't mean I have to like him. It's heartbreaking year in and year out, just like it's going to be heartbreaking again at the end of this year for all the Miami Dolphin fans and Bills fans and Bengals fans and Saints fans, because, Andy Reid is over there, right? And it was heartbreaking, Dylan, when you were traveling the 6 wins with Brady, right? And Belichick. When you see those wins happen, nobody likes that team unless you're in the circle. Mm-hmm. When you're in the circle, dude, it's like, this is it, man. This is it. When the Yankees won 4 out of 5, and I had never seen them win before. I was a fan for like 25 years. won 4 out of 5, and then they became the evil empire again. I was like, and I love how I'll never call you that, Andy, and even Dylan. I mean, I don't even have to know you to know this. I mean, I've followed you guys long enough. It really irritates me with the whole bandwagon thing. It's like, bro, you don't know when I started being a fan. You don't know how. That bandwagon fan. No, not a bandwagon fan. You don't know the
Nobody
history.
ever called me a Saints bandwagon fan, although we didn't have continued success. But
So, I mean, I totally knew this is where you guys were going. I didn't prepare anything. As you guys were talking, I'm like, yeah, I'm out of here. And really, I thought it'd be funny, but it is what it is. He's amazing. I'm anxious to see how long he stays on the sideline. I'm anxious to see.
This past game, they kept cutting to him every time something would happen. He'd be
like, I'm anxious to see how long it will take before he gets the itch to do something else other than being in that booth. Maybe not be a head coach again, but like whatever his plan. Like you just know these guys that do this so long, it's really hard. I mean, it's really hard to hang that up.
I don't want to see him ever leave Pat McAfee's side. I'm just saying. I think
Never.
I love that, and they gave Pat McAfee a hard time, but dude,
I love Pat McAfee. He is what's right about sports media.
He is what's right. Thank you. He is what's right. He is what's right.
Anyway,
all right, hey, look, I'm going to jump in, and man, I should have already done this. Why didn't I do this already?
It's Steve Spurrier. I knew it.
No. It's Nick Saban. Just kidding. It's Eddie Robinson. Eddie Robinson is the greatest coach, in my opinion, of all time. Now, here's the thing. You guys, Saban is the GOAT, but for me, everything you mentioned, Dylan, I had already had him on the list as number one for me. And one, being a Louisiana guy, this is something you hear. But then he won nine HBCU national titles. 9. He's got the most wins of all time. You talked about when he died and everything. But listen, one thing you didn't mention, and maybe you did, but I was maybe looking up some other notes. He coached the very first African-American Super Bowl winning quarterback, Doug Williams, who at that time had won. He goes on and wins with the Redskins. And that had never happened in the history of the game. And just this year, when the season started, and they broke a record for the most African-American starting quarterbacks to start a season. And I think it was 16 or 17. And think about that. This is only 35, 40 years ago when that thing happened. Very first one ever to win. I can remember, and don't throw the pitchforks at me, the folks out there. But when you're raised in the South, there are racist people, and I have racist people in my family. And I'll remember things like you can't win with an N behind the trigger. I heard that very often. And then Doug Williams, like I was young and I heard that. And all of a sudden Doug Williams comes and wins. And he came from Grambling. Right. And people would always say they weren't smart enough. They run too much. They do whatever. They changed the game. Right now, there is more running quarterbacks than pocket quarterbacks. Like if you can't get out of the pocket, you're not a guy. You're not a guy that they want. And guys like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, these guys are very grateful for someone like Eddie Robinson. 45 years, was it 45? 51. 55 years. Oh man, 400 plus wins. Eddie Robinson. Now look, I jokingly said this. I did get invited to go to one of these games. I went, and I was definitely the minority. And I was very nervous, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I was very nervous just because I had like, what is happening here? Like the streets from miles up to the Superdome is just a party. It is packed. The traffic was crazy and nothing but good music going on. And then Eddie Robinson, he changed the game for a lot of people, and he gave opportunities. And here's a guy right now, Deion Sanders. Listen, he guys like Eddie Robinson paved the way to have Deion go in there and do that HBCU thing. And before, nobody would have given anybody an opportunity. And you talk about my criteria, wanting to hang out. Gosh, what kind of stories do you have when you coached in like World War II? You know what I'm saying?
Literally.
Like I'm sitting here chatting it up, and you coached in World War II, but you also coached, 1994.
Yeah.
You just missed the millennium. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, Eddie Robinson's going to be my number one, my George. We already talked about him at length.
Then
But I
at
do
his
want to just push out.
55 seasons, 45 of those are winning seasons.
Isn't that something? Wow.
Yeah. And
Wow.
it's one of those things where like rivalries is so fun. Like the Iron Bowl. Obviously, I love the Iron Bowl. I hate Alabama can lose every game of that year, but if you beat Auburn, it's okay. Like I love rivalry. Duke Carolina. Like I got to watch Coach K's last game at the Final Four in New Orleans. Like I love rivalries. Southern and Grambling, the Bayou Classic, is such an underrated rivalry. Like I said, I went to pretty much
We have
all
football rivalries coming up. Zach was here on the thing, and
the Southern
it's one of those that I'm thinking about.
It's something that, like, if you live in Louisiana, you have to go to New Orleans and watch it. Like, you have to. It's such a cool time. It's just, again, like you said, changing the game, celebrating things that were, we talked about Bear Bryant. His scandal was he was kind of a racist up until he played USC and they had a black running back and he torched them. And the next year, Bear Bryant was the first SEC coach to segregate. So it was one of those things where it's like people were just so blind to it. And Eddie Robinson, man, literally changed the game.
I have to give props to Bear Bryant on that one, because here's the thing: Alabama, you did that at Alabama. You didn't do that. You didn't do that at some place that would have been acceptable. Alabama, look, bro, that's pretty ballsy.
Watch Forrest Gump, man.
I know.
You dropped your book.
Anyway, there's our list, man. There's our list. Eddie Robinson, man. Eddie Robinson, Nick Saban leading these mountains. So we're gonna jump in. Let's do the speaking of, dude, I need Tyreek Hill to show up, bro. I need him to show up.
Williams cooked 3 tutties in the first half. He's at
27
fantasy points or so. 26, 27.
I'm talking about it.
I'm talking, I don't have anybody playing except for Tyreek in my
I got an easy night tonight. I don't have anybody playing, and I'm not playing anyone. So
it's not only is this Jane Kipp scoring, but he's making my defensive points go down.
Yeah, I know that's the other problem.
Oh, yeah. Ouch. Well, hey, let's get into the Benjamins.
Let's do it. All right. Well, now it's all
right. Unfortunately, Nick Saban's gone. You guys cannot choose him for your Benjamins. Dylan, you're up, man. Who's the first guy you're going to take off the mountain?
First guy, old guy. Walter Camp.
There you go.
Trophy guy.
The trophy's named after him, but he created the 11-man team, the line of scrimmage, the center to snap the ball, and the All-American team. He literally had like 10 to 15 game-changing things that he created while he was a college football coach. So you literally wouldn't have the game today without Walter Camp.
He invented the color blue too. Wasn't he that guy?
I mean, I think so. Sounds like it.
He was in that meeting at least. Yeah, no, that's Walter Camp. I mean, yeah, what do you think about that for sure? All right, I'm gonna continue my trend. Look, the rest of mine are gonna be just guys that are fun that I want to be on my coaching staff here. And I'm gonna go Oklahoma State. You see it in my tagline here. I'm going Mike Gundy. I'm a grown man. I'm 40. You talk to me. That did the mullet, everything about Mike Gundy, and not even just from the coaching standpoint. He is a solid coach, right? Obviously. But I just want this guy to be there because I want him to fire my team up to run through walls. And I'm going Mike Gundy.
That's a good pick, man. I'm going to go with the guy I was going to go with earlier, and look, for a brief moment in time in my life, I was this because I didn't know no better. In the '80s, I was young, and I was a fan of this team. But he has the under his belt, he is the 1988 Natty champion. I'm going with Lou Holtz.
Dang it.
Notre Dame.
You got to run up the bill.
Bro, and that is one of the reasons I love him, dude. And watch him do the announcing side of stuff with the lisp. And, dude, you want to talk about someone that I want to just hang out with and just, bro. I
love that thing, man.
I really love Lou Holtz. He won national title. He also was a SC guy, USC, South Carolina. But he's been all over the place. See, you had me tricked when you said, this guy went all over the place. I was like, man, he was all over the place.
Isn't he still alive?
Huh?
Isn't he still alive?
Yeah, I think so.
He's got to be 90 something. How old is this guy?
So also a devout Catholic, another devout Catholic, and his motto was "Do what's right, do the best you can, and show people you care."
Well, he had to be Catholic because he was born. That was the only church that was around when he was born. I mean, he was the church.
Right? Let's see. Personal faith. Let's see. Man, he's got a lot of awards too. But Lou Holtz.
Irish are better than Irish.
All right, who's next, man? Who's next?
You got two. You got two picks.
I'm back to back Jack. Yeah. All right, let's do this. Man.
I'm so fearful of my list here going.
Me too.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to do it. The only guy that you mentioned on that coaching tree that I even respect or even like, Dylan, I'm going with Kirby. Yeah, Kirby Smart. And listen, I'm not a UGA fan, but I am a fan of people here that I'm friends with, and man, they love him. And I again, good Southern. I would hang out with this dude. Yeah, for real. I love his coaching style.
That's the guy I wish he wasn't as successful because that's who I wanted to replace Saban. But when he went to Georgia, I knew it was over.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to go with Kirby. I appreciated him before he won the Natties. And then when he got the Natties, it kind of irritated me because I have to hear it here now, because I didn't have to hear it. But now it's kind of like a thing.
All right. Okay. Well, pure entertainment factor. Guy coached one of the more fun teams of all time. One of the man. I'm in the college side of things. He did go pros and was successful there too. But I'm going with Jimmy Johnson. Give me Jimmy Johnson on this list, man. This guy, he's gonna fire him up, man. He's gonna be a little firecracker.
Miami.
The U.
Good pick.
He is senile now. Like if you watch this guy on TV on Fox, when you have him and you have what's his name, Steelers guy. Oh my gosh, Bradshaw. It's not good for TV. I don't know.
It is good for TV.
It's a beautiful train wreck. But
right. I think I know who my next two are. I'm hoping you guys don't snap. All right, go ahead.
Dylan, you got two back-to-backs.
All right, I'm gonna go to Notre Dame. I'm gonna go Newt Rockne.
Nice. You pulled out the history books today.
Yeah, history books. I mean,
he was this. You keep going old. I love that.
He's what made Notre Dame cool. Like it really was.
Rudy.
Yeah, exactly. He was. He was a coach for Rudy, so he's pretty cool. And then I'm gonna go.
Rudy was offsides. Doesn't matter. The legend's gone.
I'm gonna go personal one here. I'm gonna go Coach Hud, Mark Hudspeth of UL. He was the coach at UL when I was there, where they won 4 New Orleans Bowls back to back. He made college fun for me,
Cowboys,
because they were UL was pretty decent. We were the second best team in Louisiana for a little bit.
And now might be the best team in Louisiana.
Now, yeah, maybe. But Coach Hud, he was a pretty cool coach. Like I said, I watched him coach many a games on Saturday mornings because UL never had night games. But yeah, a little. I had to show a little Raging Cajun love.
There you go, man. Good pick. Okay, I'm gonna pull a shocker and I'm gonna steal one. I don't even know if it's gonna actually steal it from Kirk but if anybody were to pick him, I don't want this guy to be my head coach, but I want him to be on my team and my coaching staff. Give me Coach O. Give me Coach O. I want him to be on my. I just want him to be in my locker room.
I don't want him in the locker room. I want him
to have anything to do with calling the plays, doing all that stuff.
No,
I just want him bare chested.
Let me tell you something. He is, when you talk about assistants. As an assistant, he was
Coach Dwayne Johnson. I mean,
great. He was a crazy recruiter, dude. He was so good. He was so good.
You want to tell that guy no?
All right, so I'm going to come with two. I'm going with I love this guy. Being a Saban guy, you probably don't like him, just because for a while he was kind of on that mountain. I'm going with Texas, North Carolina, bro. I'm going Mac Brown. 276 wins. Dude, I love Mac Brown. And then my next one, listen, this guy right here, for I don't know how many years he was there because he's not there anymore. But I'm just going to throw a dart, probably about 10 years, he had the most underrated team in the history of college football over and over and over again. And one of the best college football games I've ever seen against Oklahoma. I'm going with Chris Peterson, Boise State, now Washington. Bro, I love that guy. I wanted him to be the replacement back in the day when Saban left and then Les Miles. I was like, go get Peterson. Go get Peterson. But yeah, Chris Peterson. That's going to be my list, bro.
Okay, where do I want to go with my last one here?
There's a couple good ones out there still.
Let's go legacy award. Now, here's the deal. This guy ran in, unfortunately, I think it was after he had passed away, some pretty bad allegations to the team. If we're just going to talk about on the football field, can you deny this guy as being one of those guys? I'm going the Nittany Lions, man. Give me Joseph Vincent Paterno, man. Joe Paterno, 350 some odd wins.
Al Pacino. That's what I always think of.
He's like the guy from Up. He looks like the grandfather. His grandpa. But and here's the deal. Obviously the whole Jerry Sandusky stuff, like all that stuff that happened is, it's always unfortunate, any of that kind of stuff, not even just for him, for legacy and stuff, but, everybody who's involved in that. I understand that. I get that. But if we're going to talk tonight, just strictly on the field from a coaching standpoint, he's, also I'll say this, this, not that he has anything to do with this necessarily, but Penn State, man, their uniform is one of the good things about college football. It's just so simple.
Whiteout game.
Whiteout game might be one of the coolest traditions that's there. I like the simple, man. It ain't about being flashy, but we got 350 wins, baby. It's not about that. Again, I'm not a Penn State fan.
He was there for
like McAfee and like Penn State's uniforms. It just doesn't match. It's two totally different sides of that college football.
Wait, what? I can't like what? Oh, Pat McAfee? Well, yeah, but he's
like, you like fun, but I don't like fun. I want to be fun, but I want to be boring.
Want fun speaking, but when it comes to football, man, I just want you to show up. And that's a side note. When the whole Nike stuff with Oregon and stuff, I hate it because they all look ugly, first of all. Secondly, I don't know what team I'm watching any week because it's a different uniform every week. Third, when I was coaching middle school football, and the mindset of kids to where it's like it's only about the color towel that I wear. I'm more worried about the cleats that I'm wearing than what I mean. You're getting rocked and destroyed by 60 points. Like it doesn't. The swag doesn't matter, right? And I'm not saying that swag equates to you're not a good football player, but when that becomes the primary everything that I'm about, that mindset of football to me is one of those things that's kind of a thing to me. So, but either way, it's just simple. It's simple, man. I mean, Alabama, how flashy of a uniform is that? It's not at all.
Never change their uniform ever.
Anyway,
I thought so. I'm playing A-Chain, man. I'm playing A-Chain. Freaking Ben.
Yeah. All right. All right, Dylan, you got Mr. Irrelevant. You have the last coach that we're going to mention tonight. Last one on the list. Where are you going?
Well, I was going to go old school, but I'm going to go to the guy who I think, mark it right here, said it on the Rushmore Show, the guy that I think is going to win the national championship this year.
Kalen DeBoer, really? Come on.
Lane Kiffin.
I almost picked Lane Kiffin, buddy. I almost played Lane Kiffin.
I think this is Lane's year. If he don't do it, he's getting fired. He's got the best offense in college football right now. Ole Miss is pretty good, and if anybody can do it, a Saban disciple is good enough for me. But Lane's crazy, dude. His offensive schemes are crazy. His teams are always fun to watch. They may lose, but they're fun to watch. So
he's another fun one when it comes to like press conferences and sound bites, because he's like sneaky, dry kind of humor. He says something, you're like, wait, what? Oh my gosh, he was funny. Yeah, that's a good pick, man. Lane Kiffin. He was going to be my pick until I went for Legacy Award. So, way to go,
fun
man.
show, guys. Great time talking Alabama with you. So, yeah, man. Hey, guys. Speaking of that, I mean, all seriousness, it has been a great time hanging out, Dylan, and the show is just going to keep rolling on. We have some great stuff coming up, and let's just show you guys what's coming up. So, starting in a couple of days, we're going September 19th with Paul. We're doing obscure sports. And then my buddy Chris Gordy is coming with college football players of all time. That one is going to be fun. I've already got my list kind of cooking for there. It's right here, actually, on the other side of this coach's.
I got my George already solidified.
Yeah. And then we're flipping over October. Zach was in here hanging out. Football rivalries. That Grambling might make it. Alabama Auburn might make it. There's a bunch of them that we've mentioned tonight that might make it. Paul and Brian. Paul was the one that went with me to the Alabama game that time. We're going to do Baseball Hall of Fame snubs. That's fun. I was talking vintage sports earlier. These guys are going to bring up – I don't have any old guys you can bring up in NBA dunkers, so that's going to be a fun one. Man, look, so let me I'm going to rag on them for a second, but Invog's going to come on with stadiums. Look, I was on there watching them last night. They were doing top. So their show is they sell like old vintage things like pennants and footballs and whatever, and they kind of like show it off and whatever. And then in between, they draft a new draft every time, and they draft 5. And so kind of like our Benjamins, they can only pick 1 or 2. I hope Keith is watching and he gets this far, but he probably won't. Here's the deal. They were doing Star Wars last night. They were drafting Star Wars. Okay. Let me tell you Keith's list. And I have it on top of my head. Jabba the Hutt was number 1. His first draft pick. Yoda was number 2. Not bad pick. Then he went R2-D2 C-3PO. And then he went Salacious, which is the guy that's with Jabba the Hutt. That's his 5. Against Andy, Andy's the other guy, so there's going to be 2 Andys on the show. He went Darth Vader, cool pick. Han Solo, Chewbacca, 2 good picks. Boba Fett, and then Lando Calrissian. Luke did not make this list at all. Not one spot. Like, all credibility.
Listen, I'm not saying I wouldn't have picked Luke. I'm just saying there's a large field to pick from. There's a lot to pick from. Now,
Salacious cannot make it over Luke.
Luke is an undrafted as a UFA, man, is just the snub of the draft.
I'm just messing, Keith.
They were
admittedly, they were doing it. 1, James Earl Jones passed away, and 2, they were opening some Star Wars cards on their next show. Yeah. So it's kind of a little promotion. They admittedly said, we aren't real big fans. We only liked it back in the day. And so, yeah,
which
even
Luke
then.
was a big part of.
I'm playing the new Star Wars Outlaws right now, and I've already put in like 50 hours on it. It's so fun.
Wait, say that again?
The Star Wars Outlaws, the new game that just came out.
Oh, okay.
It's like Red Dead, but Star Wars. It's so
sweet.
fun.
So, man, we're going to have a fun time. We're going to have a fun time hanging out. I've already got my list cooking. Look, I mean, James cooking. Already got him cooking. So Trevor, good job this week with that. But, hey, look, it isn't over. It isn't over. It is not over. So I won over who'd I beat this week that had a freaking day? I don't remember, but I ended up winning. But we'll announce fantasy football next week.
Bro.
We'll announce fantasy football next week. Go Tyreek Hill tonight. I need Tyreek to get a little bit of something right here. And Andy, let's go to bed, dude. I gotta go and have bad dreams about houndstooth and crimsons and elephants. And
I'm sorry to tell you, but it doesn't look like the trajectory of the game that you're going to get much from Tyreek Hill.
Oh no, not at all. Especially that throw. Holy moly! Is that a pick six?
Yes, it was.
Good night. Well, here's the good news. Tua has to keep throwing the ball. That means Devin A-Chain is not getting a whole bunch, and Tyreek should.
Oh, goodness. Tua. It's bad, man. It's bad tonight. Sometimes it's just not your day. It is definitely not Tua's day.
Well, I mean, come on.
He needs to save him out there when
the
Dolphins. Week 2. It's week 2.
It's week Tua, and Tua might not make it to 3.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. All right. Well, hey, let's say goodnight, Dylan. Thanks for joining us tonight.
See you next week, Andy.
Yeah, you will. Well, hopefully. I don't know.
Are y'all playing next week?
No, there's a retreat. I'm not sure if it's happening. I don't know if it's in the cards, man.
Aww.
I know. But either way.
What kind of retreat? What kind of retreat?
Youth pastor retreat.
Oh, nice.
Our church is hosting it.
Yeah, I would.
I was gonna beat Andy a Mario Kart on the movie screen.
Let's go.
Which Mario Kart though? Because I don't know Mario Kart anymore. There's like way too many things nowadays.
Play whatever, Andy. Whatever.
Well, Patrick, good night.
You can't beat me.
Is mayonnaise an instrument? Good night, Patrick.
All right. Well, hey, let's say goodnight like we always do. This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4
and nothing more. Roll Tide.
Peace.
Roll Tide.